Doesn't matter who anyone voted for in the 2020 schmelection to answer this question I'm about to ask. Do Americans have the right to know who is running their country? The obvious answer is yes, but don't tell Beijing Biden's regime that, because they'll just trot out the Wendy's lady to stretch the truth.
We'll circle back with you directly. I can circle back. I'll circle back with you.
Remember a couple weeks ago when I talked about not complying? Well, maybe that should apply to everything until we, the people, start getting some answers. Hey everybody, I'm MRC-TV's Nick Kangadis, your resident man in black, and I'm back for another installment of Things That Need to Be Said. The show apparently so dangerous, the big tech oligarchs only allow about 8% of the audience to actually see it on average. Really quick, I just want to remind you to subscribe to our channel on Rumble, which seems the most open platform for things that need to be said. Now, on with the show. Let me preface everything I'm about to say by acknowledging that yes, Joe Biden is the president and Kamala Harris is the vice president. Now that I've taken care of the worries of the social media powers that be, let's get into it, shall we? Why did I pose the question I did at the top? Well, it might have something to do with the fact that Beijing Biden's handlers constructed a White House-looking set across the street from the actual White House so that everything is more staged than usual, and all of us can't tell that Biden is simply reading what others wrote for him. Now, that's not a new concept. Most, if not all, presidents read the teleprompter when delivering speeches and/or statements. And this is solely my take, other presidents probably looked over those prepared comments, at least the bullet points, before making the actual public statements in the actual White House.
I have thought of something that's not a part of my speech and worried over whether I should do it.
There's a reason Beijing Biden's handlers don't often like to let the president go off the cuff or answer unscheduled questions.
I'm sorry, this is the last question I'll take, and I'm really going to be in trouble. I'm not supposed to take any questions, but go ahead. You guys are bad. I'm not supposed to be answering all these questions. I'm supposed to leave, but I can't resist your questions.
Then we get to the Vice President, Kamala Harris. As many of you might have heard by now, Harris's team had to employ the services of a Canadian production company called, and there's absolutely no irony here, Sinking Ship Entertainment, to find child actors to seem interested in the Vice President's extreme lack of knowledge of our space program.
And I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. And then there's other things that we just haven't figured out or discovered yet. To think about so much that's out there that we still have to learn. Like, I love that. I love that. And so I'm very excited about the Space Council. We're going to learn so much as we increasingly, I think, are curious and interested in the potential for the discoveries and the work we can do in space. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about.
If that wasn't enough for you, you remember when the Taliban was taking over Afghanistan and everyone was wondering where Harris was? Yeah, the space propaganda Harris was filming occurred in August at the exact same time. So instead of focusing on what actually matters, like doing what she could to aid in the extraction of Americans from a hostile territory, Harris was off on location filming the garbage I just showed you and talking to 12 and 13-year-olds like it was their first day of kindergarten. But put all that aside, isn't Harris the border czar? We all know by now that she couldn't care less about the over 200,000 people attempting to illegally enter our southern border every single month. In fact, Harris cares so little about the crisis down south that she blew off sending the not-so-good-at-his-job Secretary of State Abe Lincoln in her stead so that she could visit a daycare center and a bakery in New Jersey. Oh, but remember this?
There's one other topic I wanted to talk to you about, but let me just quickly put a button.
Okay.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
Yeah. She cares about the border as much as we care that the Alphabet Mafia is upset with Dave Chappelle for telling the truth about them in his comedy. Oh, But there's good news. The Biden regime is now requiring vaccines as it reopens both our southern and northern border to non-essential travel. If only they gave as much of a crap about the people entering the country illegally being vaccinated or not, since this is a
pandemic of the unvaccinated. I know I've said that constantly, and others have as well. The vaccination of the unvaccinated.
And instead of placing sanctions on China for their increased aggression against Taiwan, which in turn will place increased pressure on Japan, or placing sanctions on our relationship with the communist government in Australia for basically putting their citizens in concentration camps simply for trying to live their lives, what does he do? Beijing Biden spends his days blaming the unjabbed for the continuation of the pandemic. He spends his days blaming Republicans for the economy that his handlers have structured in his image. And he spends his days blaming Trump for the rise in domestic terrorists who are basically simply parents that want to be heard when it comes to the Marxist propaganda being taught to their children in schools, and where boys with skirts can enter the girls' bathroom. Even if the not dynamic duo are the ones making all of the decisions, the American people don't seem to approve of it very much. Real Clear Politics, who averages out multiple polls in order to give us a better understanding of specific items than one poll on its own ever could, showed that Biden's disapproval rating rose nearly 5% in a single week. That's right, the president's approval rating has dropped to a dismal 43%, with his disapproval rating coming in at 52.3%. Does that mean that 43% of people are stupid? I don't care who you support or what your beliefs might be. If you actually approve of the job Beijing Biden is doing, I seriously doubt your mental acumen to tie your own shoes and not swallow your own tongue on a daily basis. The question then becomes, what is Biden doing so well that someone, somewhere, thinks he's doing a good job? Think about it. The U.S. economy is severely underperforming when it comes to jobs. Only 194,000 jobs were filled in September, well under the Dow Jones predicted gain of 500,000. But somehow, the unemployment rate dropped from 5.1% to 4.8%. How did it do that? Oh, that's right. The unemployment rate doesn't take into account how many people dropped out of the workforce and aren't looking for work. And you might ask, Nick, how do you know that's what contributed to the lower unemployment rate?
Oh, I'll feed you, baby birds.
Well, there's this that CNBC reported on Tuesday. Quote, a record 4.3 million workers quit their jobs in August, led by food and retail industries, unquote. But it's totally not because of any mandates, it's the weather, right, Southwest Airlines? And I won't even get into inflation because by now you've felt it in your increasingly shrinking wallets. And where's the media in all of this? Well, they're still talking about the worst day in the history of this nation.
January 6th.
January 6th.
January 6th.
January 6th.
January 6th.
January the 6th.
January 6th.
And how everything anyone does is now racist, homophobic, or transphobic. Why are they doing this? Because even they know there's nothing good this current regime is doing worth it enough to report on, and it's the only way to provide cover for the government that gives them the script. So, what do all of you think out there? Were these things that needed to be said? Let me know in the comments below, where I do read most and reply to some. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel on Rumble. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, share, and give it a thumbs up. Those are the best ways to help these videos reach more people, and it's the best way to let us know you want us to keep these videos coming. Subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so that YouTube might actually let you know when MRC-TV comes out with a new video if they haven't censored it or taken it down yet. Like us on Facebook and check out more of our work at MRCTV.org. For MRC-TV, I'm Nick Kangadis.